It's time for number 16 in my series of video game movie reviews, with the sequel to one of the most infamously bad video game movies, and just movies period, ever made. So can this sequel better the original? Not really a tall order, but let's find out. House of the Dead 2 is the sequel to the infamously bad 2003 Uwe Boll-directed House of the Dead. This time around, we follow a group of special agents that have been tasked with infiltrating the zombie outbreak at a college. Their plan is to get a blood sample from patient 0 so that they can finally make a vaccine for the zombie virus. And of course, things don't go as planned. I know, I was shocked too. If you've seen my review of 2003's House of the Dead, you know that I actually did like that movie. It's not a good movie by any means. It's fucking terrible. But it is such a train wreck. It is so bad that you just can't peel your eyes away from it. And it's a good time because it is just so bad. So going into this, I was wondering, are they going to be able to recapture that so bad it's good? Or better yet, will they be able to actually make a good movie? Well, seeing as how this movie came out in 2006, and chances are pretty good that none of you have ever even heard of it, you can probably deduce that no, they weren't successful on either of those fronts. Let me get this out of the way in the beginning. House of the Dead 2 is a better movie from an overall filmmaking perspective than the original House of the Dead. Pretty much everything in the movie is done better from a filmmaking perspective than the original movie. But does that make it a more entertaining movie than the original? No, actually it doesn't. The story here is better than the original House of the Dead. Not only is it better, but it's actually executed better than the original House of the Dead as well. It doesn't take itself too serious. It and everyone in this movie knows what the fuck they're in. I don't think anybody involved in this movie had delusions of grandeur, and when they were offered a part or a role behind the camera in House of the Dead 2, they thought, yeah, this is my big break. Everybody in front of and behind the camera knows where they are and what they're making. In that sense, it's not a bad story. It's nothing great, that's for damn sure, but it's nowhere near as lackluster and light as the original. It's still pretty fucking light, don't get me wrong, but it is a bit more conventional and easier to follow and understand and cohesive than the original one was. But don't worry, that doesn't mean they got all serious in House of the Dead 2. No, there's plenty of camp still here. The performances in this one are actually, unlike the original, performances. It seems like they actually did more than one take when making the scenes in this movie. Our two leads, played by Emmanuel Vauger and Ed Quinn, actually do a decent job here. They bring a little something extra to the screen here that does keep you a bit more engaged throughout the movie. They're not great performances, but they're not terrible either. Both leads bring a likability to the performances that you're not expecting, but Ed Quinn in particular brings a level of bravado and charisma to the screen that actually keeps everything afloat a bit longer than it would otherwise. Everybody else involved is more or less overacting, but considering the movie that they're in, it doesn't really seem that out of place. Like I said, everybody here knows what they're in and acts accordingly. The special effects are okay. The makeup effects are pretty good. I mean, they're nothing special, but they're not bad. Now, the CGI effects in the movie aren't too hot, but they are fairly limited, so the filmmakers were kind enough not to inflict that torture on us too much. Overall, it's nothing awful, but it's not anything that's gonna stand out either. This movie does have more of a connection to the game that it's based on than the original movie did. I mean, it's not a huge connection, but there are a few more things in this movie that players of the game may recognize. But given the fact that the source material story was fairly light, there's not like a whole lot to pull from there. For the vast majority of the runtime, you're gonna think that this movie, beyond name, has no connection to the original movie. And for the most part, that is right, but it actually does connect itself closer to the end to the original movie. Now, it's only like one little scene that creates a thread between the two movies, but I mean, it was nice that they actually did connect the two movies, seeing as how they called this House of the Dead 2. But beyond that, this is more or less a standalone, all-by-itself movie. You don't have to see the original movie to enjoy this movie. Or maybe enjoy is the wrong word, but to understand what's going on in this movie. Where the original movie was just so batshit crazy and out there, and so terribly executed that you just wanted to keep watching to see how bad it could actually get. This one doesn't really live up to that. This is a better movie than the original in the traditional sense. However, that's not really saying much, and being better in a traditional sense nonsense than the original movie just really elevates this movie up to mediocre. That's the biggest problem here. Mediocrity. I was okay with the campiness. I was okay with the low budgetness. I was okay with the overacting and all that stuff. And while from a traditional sense it is better than the original, that is not really saying much. The movie doesn't ever elevate itself up to a point to where you would consider it a good movie. But it also isn't so bad like the original to where that in itself just makes it entertaining to watch. It's somewhere in between there in a place that we call mediocrity. While watching this, you'll also teeter on boredom a lot of the time. You don't ever quite get there, but the whole time you kind of feel it coming. You feel it right there. Boredom just looking over you saying, I'm coming to get you. Like I said, you never quite get there, but you feel it right there at all times. Unfortunately, this movie's just forgettable overall. It's not good enough to be its own thing, and it's not bad enough to dethrone its forebear. While it's not total trash, the overall mediocrity of it all just means at best, this one's worth checking out on USA Up All Night. I can't say I'm really surprised here. I mean, while I do love the original movie for as bad as it is, I wasn't really expecting too much going into this one. So I guess at least on that front, it lived up to my expectations. So there it is, guys, my review of House of the Dead 2. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, San Diego.
You know, I always kind of thought you had a thing for him.
Like hell I did. No offense.
I'm taken.
So what do we got next in the video game movie review series? Aw shit! Big ass titties, volleyballs, and fighting. Fuck yeah!